What's up, everybody? This is Matt from the Overseas Famous Podcast, and I'm joined by my former AAU teammate, former high school rival, Babatunde, who's currently playing basketball at Florida Southern College. How are you, Tunde? How's the season going for you so far?
Doing good, bro. Happy to be here. Season's been going pretty well so far. Started off 1-1 this weekend. Lost the first game, but second game we got in our groove, won by 30. So now it's up from here. Just got to keep on working.
Yeah, you said you played. It was a tournament this weekend. You said.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
played in.
where was that at?
It was at Eckerd College, St. Petersburg, Florida. They're in our conference. It was part of the our conference, Sunshine State Conference and Gulf South Conference crossover matchup. So we played West Alabama and Delta State. They're both part of the Gulf South Conference.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, we played in a tournament too this weekend at Lemonade Valley College. We unfortunately went 0-2. Didn't play great, but still early in the season. We're still figuring some things out. We'll be all right though.
No
What
doubt.
are your what are your expectations this year for this season?
Playing at Florida Southern College, with the tradition that they have here, every year the expectation is to win a national championship. So, it's not, a lot of pressure, but it's also, when you're playing for a school that means something, a program that really likes to, aim for the highest, of the highs, you got to be ready to come to work every day. So right now, obviously we have a lot of things to still figure out. We're a new team coming together, very talented, and we showed how good we could be yesterday. So I think the sky's the limit. We still want to focus on winning the national championship and playing big basketball in March.
Yeah, do you have any personal goals for this season for yourself?
I didn't get to play last year, so for me, it's just reminding everybody that I'm still here. Making a name for myself, and I think I made a name for myself in every level of basketball that I've played in so far. I still have yet to make the biggest impact at the college level. So my whole goal this year is to just be as good as I can be. Availability to my team, my coaches. Just being the player that I know that I can be. And obviously, it would have hurt to make all conference team as well. But obviously, my personal goal is just to be the best teammate, best player I can be for my team.
Yeah, what was the reason that you didn't play last season? I remember you texting me with something, but I forget exactly what it was.
Yeah, with COVID and everything happening, I was born with a heart murmur, so that was listed as a risk factor. So I had to do multiple tests and things every day. I never had COVID, but my doctors, my cardiologists, they weren't too happy with the way our season was going because we didn't have a schedule by the time we got home in December. So like the expectations were that we weren't going to play, and then when things started heating up and everything started happening, and the cardiologists were reading my tests and they were saying that, oh, we think that it would be best for you to opt out this season just to, you know, avoid any type of, issues with COVID. My parents were, obviously they weren't too happy that we weren't playing. They weren't happy with the whole situation. So I had to take a step back last year. I mean, it sucked. I wanted to play last year. We played a shortened season, but like only ended up playing the guys that were able to play only played 10 or 12 games. So it's not like I really missed much, but I definitely missed being on the court with my team. It was a really crazy, time. I really wish I could have played last year, but I'm back now. The doctor said that as long as I got the vaccine this year, that I'd be able to play. So that's all I had to do. So I just made sure that I took care of what I need to do on my end. So that's all it was.
Now I remember in AAU, this came up a time. I forget when it was, what year of AAU, but I think when you found out about the heart murmur, because I
Yeah, no,
remember you
I've
being
had it.
out for a little while.
Yeah, I've had a heartburn my whole life. It's just that my sister, she had open heart surgery when she was playing. She went to Mount St. Mary's and everything. So, my parents and my cardiologist, they came up with a plan that, oh, he needs to get, you know, constant screening 2 years, every 2 years. So, like, I remember that year that you're talking about exactly. I think that was like one of the first years that they had me come for my, my 2 year checkup, and they weren't happy with the test or whatever, and then I had to go back for other tests, so I had to sit out for a couple of weeks. But it turned out to be nothing. I feel healthy. Doctors keep on telling me that I'm healthy, but it's all precautionary.
Mhm. That's awesome that you're back though and ready to go for this season. So did you gain an extra year of eligibility since you weren't able to participate last year?
Yeah, I'm a redshirt sophomore,
Okay. So you still
junior in the
got
classroom, sophomore.
three more years to go.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So you also transferred from it was California University of Pennsylvania, right?
Sir.
And how did like the transfer process work? Like how did the transfer portal work?
For me, I mean, it was weird because around the same time that I entered the transfer portal, that's when the pandemic really started. So it was really crazy. It was new for everybody. I mean, I wasn't able to go on any visits before I committed. Everything was virtual. I have had FaceTime meetings, Zoom meetings with coaches, and all that stuff. So the transfer portal in 2020 was really weird. But I just my whole biggest thing is I felt like I rushed my decision my first time coming out of high school. My biggest thing that I told every coach that was recruiting me at that time, I told them like I'm going to take my time with this. I mean, whether that meant, cause I know coaches have their own timetables, and I know whether that meant that they would have to go pursue somebody else. I said so be it. And the biggest thing with me for Florida Southern was that Coach Donnelly, he gave me as much time as I needed. He told me how much that they really wanted me here and how much they thought I could really help, what they were trying to build. And he told me that, hey, you come to me whenever you feel like you're ready and we'll respect any decision that you have. And that was, a big thing for me. And he's been, completely 100 with me ever since. I mean, he's the realest coach that I've ever played for. So it was a weird, situation, in the transfer portal that year, but turned out to work out for the best.
Was that a difficult decision to decide that you wanted to transfer?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was, especially because when you get to a school, you spend a certain amount of months there, you get really comfortable. I mean, obviously, I just didn't think my basketball situation was the best for me, and obviously, basketball dictates basically everything in my life. So if I'm not doing as well as I want to on the court, or basketball isn't as good for me on the court, my whole life kind of takes a shift. So for me, it was a difficult decision, but at the same time, I felt like it was a decision I had to make, so it made it a little bit easier for me.
Kind of going back to what we were talking about before I started recording, like how busy our schedules have been, like with starting basketball and the games and how long the basketball season goes. How hard is it for you just to manage your time in college with
Um,
schoolwork, basketball, like, socializing? How hard is it to manage all of that?
yeah, I mean, I feel like almost every college athlete can attest to that. It's I think a lot of people get it twisted that like they think that it's just Division I guys that grind. That you know from the time that we got to campus here in Florida Southern, we've been going hard in terms of individual workouts, and we play pickup about I think we played 3 times a week, play pickup individual workouts, and then team workouts with the coaches. From the time we started, it's just been a grind. Like, when you come down here, you got to be ready to work. If you're not ready to work, you're going to be left behind. It's just simply how it is. Because we play too fast, we work too hard down here. So, you got to be locked in every day. And on top of that, I go to a very high academic school. Florida Southern, like, is one of the highest academic schools down here in the South. So it's no pushovers in the classroom. The teachers don't cut you any slack. You have to be ready to do all your work in the classroom. This semester has been particularly the hardest I've ever had to been through. I mean, obviously it's junior year. I'm a communications major, so I write a lot of papers. On top of that, we have practice. We practice all the time in the afternoon. So our practice is finished sometimes around like 8, 9, 10. So by the time I get back to my house, it's just a matter of, figuring out what I can do right now, what I have to do in the morning, or what I have to do or try to manage during the day before I have practice. And it's just been hard. I mean, managing time is always hard. You gotta always have a little schedule and your little, a little routine that you're used to. But I mean, with the ever changing schedule and now with games coming up and everything, you can't really like plan as easily as you want. But it's part of the being a student athlete. It's a grind that everybody's going through, but you just have to keep your head down and keep pushing.
Yeah, I really feel that because we same thing with us about practice. We like start usually late afternoon because a lot of the guys just have classes during the day.
Yep.
We're ending practice sometimes like 3 hour practices, even from like 5 to 8, 6 to 9. Like I'm coming off these practices real tired. Like I can't. It's hard to do work after that, and you just essentially just gotta plan the rest of the day for the next day, and then get up in the morning and start grinding again until you try to get as much done before practice. It's a real grind. A
Yeah,
lot of people don't realize that.
they don't. They don't, especially from the outside looking in. It looks like, oh, you guys are just playing the sport that you guys want to play, the sports that you love. It should be easy. Mm-mm. Doing schoolwork on top of it doesn't make anything easy. So it's a grind. Being a student athlete is real. It's real.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it though, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I love playing. I love basketball. It's a grind, but it's a grind that I definitely love. That's for
yeah,
sure.
for sure.
How has your perception of being a college athlete changed from now since you were in high school?
That's a good question. In high school, I mean, I feel like everybody expects, college to be like their experience in high school, which is it's crazy. Once you get to college, you realize that nothing is the same about college basketball, college life, college education. It's completely different when you're on your own. You're managing your time. When you're in high school, you go home after all your games, after all your practices to your families. It's a different type of time management. You have periods and class days every day. Um, college is just like I feel like my expectation when I was committing to a school was that, I thought that I'm not gonna say I thought it would be easier than like it actually was, but like I feel like nobody's truly prepared no matter how much you do before you get there for like the change in speed to the game, the change in strength, in terms of people at this level are a lot stronger than you, a lot older than you. Um, it was just a big, shock, even though you try to do as much as you can, like the summer before, your freshman year. I felt like I did a lot to prepare myself, but after being, through it now 2 years, like I know now that like it takes a lot more in the summer to be fully prepared for a true like basketball season, especially when you start as soon as you get to school. I mean, now it's like I feel like I appreciate the student athlete part a lot more because in high school you can kind of push you can kind of like just survive, in terms of like schoolwork on top of like basketball and practice because it's not as much as a commitment as college because in college it's really like it's a business. So like you have to be fully locked in, your grades slack, you're off the team, you know what I'm saying? So like it's it's definitely a big difference between how I used to perceive it and how it actually is. So it was just a shock, really.
Yeah, I agree. Like the adjustments to the game is a lot. Is a lot. I feel like the only way you can kind of get used to it is just time,
Yeah.
because the size, speed, strength.
Mm,
Everybody's really skilled, but the size, the speed, and the strength of the game is a lot different than it was from high school basketball. That's
right.
for sure. All right, and that's gonna wrap up the interview with Babatunde. Thank you for coming on, having this conversation about being a student athlete. Really hope to have you on again sometime if you would want to.
Always, always, anytime, bro.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks again for coming on, and we're out.
Appreciate you, bro.